Welcome to the first lesson of Educator.com's English composition course. Let's go ahead and go over a couple things that you're going to learn and a couple things you're really going to have fun doing in just a moment. First off, one of the most important thing is who should be taking this course? Well, first off, you must understand grammar good. And if you can see that I'm actually supposed to have well there, then you understand grammar well. Also, I'm assuming that you can write a paragraph in English. What is a paragraph? All I mean is that you can write 5 sentences or 8 sentences together, all on the same similar topic, together in a single paragraph. That's all I'm assuming. I'm also assuming that you have never written an essay before. And if you've written an essay, you know you'll still get some things out of this course, but I'm going to be starting off assuming at the very beginning you've never written an essay before. And you are already a writer and you want to become a great writer. Now, some of you are thinking that, oh, I'm not a writer. Well, actually one of the rules of this class is you're never allowed to think or say that. So instead of saying I am not a writer, say that I am a writer and I'm learning how to be a great one. So it's a very important rule. Don't forget that one. Now, there are some basic things you're going to get out of a course, and a lot of these things you will, kind of learn in, normal school, and then this will be kind of a reiteration and something that will be even more important. We're going to learn how to brainstorm. Brainstorming is actually a technique and it's actually a skill, and I'm going to be explaining how you have 2 halves of your brain and how they interact and, what's the best way to brainstorm. From that brainstorming, we are going to form something called a thesis. And this thesis is going to be spent 2 lessons going over, and it helps focus your writing and gives you an essay to write about. And after that, we'll be organizing ideas into kind of a coherent pattern, and one that we use as kind of a template over and over again for all kinds of writing. You'll learn the very basics of writing a 5-paragraph essay. It's kind of like your training wheels for writing. Before you really get your, wings, you've got to do this for a lot first. Finally, going to learn how to research and to cite. I'll be showing you things that I wasn't able to learn until junior college, but I believe that anybody who's high school or even middle school or possibly even grade school can learn how to comprehend. Now after that, we're going to be going over some advanced stuff, some things that are a little bit harder to teach in a traditional classroom, but can be taught in kind of a context like this. We're going to learn what logos and rhetoric are, what's the difference between the two, and how to use them. I'll give you a clue. Logos sounds like logic. And if I want to convince you of something, I'm going to use lots of rhetoric. You'll learn how to write a persuasive and an argumentative paper. Stuff that's kind of important not just for school, but also, for everyday life. And you will learn how to edit good. No, you'll learn how to edit well. Also, we're going to be doing something that's also crazy important for the future of the world. You are going to learn how to write a short story or even possibly a novel. I fully endorse this, and I think it's important. And you'll find out why when we get to that section at the very end of this long journey we're starting together. So, let's think first. Why do we write? Well, I bet a lot of you are thinking right now, I'm writing for grades. I bet that a lot of you who are writing and going in class want to turn in a paper, and it's really important to see this on it after you turn it in. That's a grade. Grades are important. Yes, write for grades, but if that's the only reason why you're motivated to write, you can get exhausted real quickly. So I want you to kind of think about the future and think about what's coming and think about all these great things that you'll be doing. And why else writing might be important. Writing is important for college. Now, do I mean writing is important when you're in college? No, I mean writing is important for getting into college. And the reason is this. I have a friend who is an admissions counselor, and this is what she does. During the summers and during December and other important times of years, she gets a letter from a student saying how great and how important it is to go to college. And then she gets another one, and another one, and another one, and another one, and she gets a stack that goes all the way up to the ceiling. And she has to read through all of them. Imagine yourself in that person's shoes. What does she want to read? And how are you going to be the kind of student that's going to write something so amazing that she just thinks, wow. And she takes your application and she takes your essay and she puts that on the favorite pile. I want this person in my college. After college, or even maybe instead of college, there are these things called jobs. Jobs, careers, money, these are all important things for anybody in life. But how do you get the job you really want? I mean, do you want to be like flipping burgers your entire life? Do you want to be washing cars? I suspect not. I suspect your very first job is not the job you really want for the rest of your life. So how do you get that job? Well, kind of like getting into college, you're going to turn in something called a letter of introduction. And if this job's posted online, that's going to go in one stack, another, and another. And this boss, who is busier than that admissions counselor and has a lot of other things to do, is going to get a stack to the ceiling of applicants. And you want yours to be really phenomenal and to be absolutely amazing and to show that you are the person who is ready for the job. It takes writing to do that. Now, there are 3 types of writing that I'm going to go over in this course. The first is what's called logos. I've already given you a hint of what that is. Rhetoric, and then finally creative writing. So what do these mean? Well, logos is a Greek word, and it kind of means word or logic, and it uses reason to find truth. So can you think of an example of somebody who's going to be using reason and using critical thinking and using kind of, logic and stuff all the time? Vulcans. Well, we got scientists, maybe police investigators, maybe lawyers, or basically anybody who needs to think and think really, really hard is going to be using logos in their communication. So if I was a lawyer and I was doing a logos appeal, I would say, Miss Scarlett's fingerprints were found on the murder weapon. Miss Scarlett is guilty. That's an example of a logos appeal. I'm going to use reason and evidence to show you that something is true. But is that always going to be the most convincing? Is that all you need to convince somebody? Well, no, there's something else. Rhetoric is the use of emotions to persuade people. I want you to just go on YouTube and I want you to see everything from a politician or an advertiser. I want you to go to YouTube and search those Billy Mays advertisements because he's using so much rhetoric. And you know what else? Lawyers use that all the time too. If I'm that prosecuting attorney and I want to convince you that this person's guilty, I might appeal to your emotions and I might say something like this. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I stand before you accusing this person, and if you find them innocent, they will kill again. Ooh, I'm using fear. I want you to be afraid. I want you to feel principled about making this person guilty. It's emotions. I'm just using emotions to persuade. But what's the best kind of writing? What's some of the most fun? You've done this before because we've all been children. It's a creative writing. And this uses the imagination to entertain. Now, who's going to use this? Authors, screenwriters, even sometimes educators. You may have been told that creativity and innovation is not important, but we're going to find out later, towards the end of this essay, exactly how important it is. Our education system tends to stifle creativity when it really is important that it needs to grow for kind of the world we live in today. Don't be afraid to follow through and wait for the end of this lesson. So, 3 types of writing. We got our creative, we got our logos, and we got our rhetoric. If you're a good student, you want to get that A, you will learn how to use logos very, very well. But if you want to be a great writer, you will be the kind of person who will use all 3. I'm going to give you the tools to start practicing that, and then you will be able to go and run with it and learn how to do this very, very well. Now, I'm going to be talking about the brain. There are 2 halves of the brain, and they're separated by this thing called the corpus callosum, and that's a little bit thicker in women and shorter in men, but the brain is not just one thing, it's two different halves that sometimes fight with each other. So, the left side of the brain is really good at certain things. It's great at logic. It's its favorite thing to do. It's also where we get math and even language. And the left brain is absolutely killer and wonderful at editing papers. Now you might be thinking, well, if the left brain's good at logic, what do I need the right brain for? Well, you need the right brain for a lot of other things. First off, the right brain is very, very good at emotions. It's very good at understanding emotions and processing them. It is also the imaginative side of the brain, and it's also great for motivation. The right brain is good at creating ideas. Can the left brain edit something that isn't there? Absolutely not. We're going to use the right brain to kind of give the left brain something to do before it starts editing. Now, the left brain does have certain weaknesses and it does have certain problems. Here's an example of a left brain problem. Your left brain might be telling you this is no good and stop writing. Well, I'm so worried about the grade and the assignment that you'll never start the assignment. That's a left brain problem. Right brain also has problems. The right brain might be saying to you at some point, this is no fun, I'd rather eat candy. It might also say something like, I don't use black and white ink, I want to write in color crayons. It might even say, oh look, something on the internet. Okay, so the left and right brain, you can kind of see, both have certain problems and weaknesses. So be careful about that. And I'll teach you how to kind of deal with both of these things in just a moment. Now, we're actually going to start an assignment now. And this is your very first assignment, and it's actually super easy. The first thing that you're going to need for your assignment is a notebook. Get a notebook that you like, and get a notebook that you think is, kind of fun and maybe even a little pretty. It's very important that you like this notebook and you don't use it for any other thing. Please, please, please avoid those boring, college-ruled, binder-sized notebooks. Those are boring. Don't get one of those. Get something like this. If you want to go fancier, go right ahead. But get a notebook that you like and is kind of special to you. Also, you need to get a pen. Absolutely get a pen. I did not say pencil, I said pen. I want you to get something that you can't erase. That's very, very important. The third item you're going to need is a timer of some sort. My timer just happens to be on my phone here, but maybe you have a kitchen timer or an egg timer, whatever. Timer can be everything you need. Now your task, your very, very important task, is for 5 times this week, write for 15 minutes with no interruptions. Absolutely, you must be using your pen and you must be using your notebook. You cannot type and you cannot use a pencil. The reason for that is doing this does not activate certain parts of the brain, but doing this does. And if you absolutely find that you can't do 5, maybe just go for 3. But don't do less than 3. It's only 45 minutes. I'm sure you can find a place and find room to go ahead and do this for 15 minutes. And what are you going to write about? Well, you just write about anything. You write about anything that comes to your mind. And you need to be able to respond to those problems. Your left brain might tell you, this is no good. Stop writing. Erase that. Rewrite this. Fix that until it looks good. Okay. All you need to do when your left brain says things like this is to just say, be quiet. Be quiet and keep your hand moving. Write about whatever you want to write about, whatever you feel like writing about. Literally anything is what you're going to be writing. Well, maybe your right brain might say something like this. I'm so bored. Why does mom make me do this? I'd rather be doing. Okay, as soon as you start thinking like this, as soon as your right brain starts doing this, your response will be to write about what you'd rather be doing. Just start writing until that 15 minutes goes up. Your hand must be moving, and it's only 15 minutes. I didn't ask for 45 minutes at a time, not even 30 minutes, just 15. So keep that in mind. when you start thinking about all the things you'd rather be doing. So, remember, you need a pen, a notebook that you like, 5 times 15 minutes. What do you write about? Absolutely anything. These are your journal entries and they're up to you to write about. Don't let the left brain edit you, and if the right brain gets bored, talk about why you're bored and what you'd rather be doing. Once you've done that, go ahead and go to the next lesson, and we'll see what we start doing with these ideas that you're writing. Thanks a lot for watching Educator.com.